the only states? That Virginia is one of the only states that does this, treats people who are released from prison that they can't vote.
Virginia and Kentucky.
Yeah, there's 2 states in the whole.
4, Florida and Iowa, and 3 more getting ready to go the way that of Virginia. Florida is now the worst state in the union. They are worse than Virginia.
They must have just changed that.
Countries where the conservatives have figured ways that they can literally disenfranchise millions of people and potentially keep them disenfranchised. I was in a meeting on Tuesday with Lily Branch Kennedy.
A person still has to register to vote. A lot of people think that once the government bestows your right, you automatically register to vote. That is not true. You still have to go register to vote.
Dr. Vine, somewhere I read that during your tenure as president, you and a coalition of great folks went to Governor Timothy Kane and asked that he, by his power as governor, reinstate all 400,000 persons. And the fallback position was that the so-called non-violent, which would have been 200,000 or so. And can you tell us what happened? And here we're talking about a so-called progressive this, civil rights this. And I want to know because he's running for U.S. Senate now. And so, can you take us through that?
Jim Kane, our president of the government. Who makes the decision whether or not my rights are restored? The power of granting the restoration of civil rights is vested in the government. And both the Constitution of Virginia and the Code of Virginia give the governor discretion in exercising his power, this power. The discretionary power allows each governor to establish its own guidelines and policies regarding the eligibility of those who seek it. It is vested in the governor. Now what I have, and this is my own opinion, what I have concluded is that those persons who have that power, if they have their eyes set on some other position of higher in the government, they are reluctant to do anything that they think will damage them. That's the impression I got. We need some persons who have the boldness to do what's right. In fact, I said to Tim Kaine, you have the opportunity to really make history and to be a great governor if you would exercise this. But now you can see where he's positioning himself. So I think that was in the background. I can't say that as a fact, but I'm picking up the fact that a lot of people, a lot of persons don't really step out if they got their eye on something else. They don't want to do anything that they think will damage that. I think that's coward, and I think we need some people who can stand up and be accountable.
Thank you.
Well, I really think a lot get into the news of that because it's this massive voter fraud, and it's mainly hurting Democrats, unfortunately.
That's it, but there's no verification. And they've shown there are programs that have been created that can change what the person really did. It's fraud, it's corruption, and we're not dealing with it. I mean, there was one brother who had the science on it, was going through Congress, and he gets in a mysterious car wreck and dies, gets killed. So the question is not whether we're moving forward with technology, but you cannot validate. There's no backup. And there are programs that have been proven that they can change the scores. They've stolen 2 elections from us. And I think we need to put it back on our radar screens and scream loudly about it. Or we have, if you don't speak out when you're being played, then, you get what you have coming. So I just want to say for the progressives here, let's put that back on our agenda.
And I don't want to get off of it, but I want to get back to the disenfranchised, the restoration of voters' rights. this message directly to them. We got it now where not all of the lower income people are, I would say it's half and half. A lot of them has lost their rights to vote. And I think the other half has just become apathetic because nobody comes down here to talk to them. Then the other part of it too is that we as Democrats say we're here to help them. But then in our committees, we put in the stipulations that you have to be a registered voter in order to be a part of some of our committees. How can we get that changed and include these people? I mean, for them to help out doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have a voter's registration card. Believe me, I truly believe that. It's very priceless. But who's going to go down there and talk to them and let them know, look, I'm here to help? A lot of the politicians turn around and just look at it. It's not enough votes there, I'm not going there.
There are several things that are going on. Clover and giving workshops and getting people's rights restored. I'm in the Baptist Ministers Conference of Richmond in vicinity. 100 acres, 200 churches. And 4 weeks ago, I went down to the state and got the applications and shared with the ministers that you need to check your congregations. Because I checked my congregation, to my surprise, I had 3 people that needed, to get their rights restored. So I told them to send me confidentially. And we're working on that right now. So I gave these applications out to the ministers. I guess there's about 80 there. That's covering a lot of people in your congregation. So there are things that are going on. I want you to think that we're just not doing anything. Okay?
Miss Shammy Harmon, I haven't seen a lot of activity with the Urban League in Richmond for a while, so I was delighted when I met her at an event I gave last month where we were honoring civil rights and social justice leaders, and she came up and she said, oh right, the Urban League, we're really working and we're coming back in Richmond. We're the oldest Urban League in Richmond. We've kind of been quiet for a while, but we're back. So, Shannon, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shay Harmon. I'm a board member of the Urban League of Greater Richmond, which is the oldest affiliate office of the National Urban League. We just celebrated 97 years this year, and so we'll be turning 100 very soon. The National Urban League just turned 100 last year. In 2010, we celebrated 100 years of empowering African American communities and moving them towards economic empowerment. And it's definitely a pleasure to be a part of this panel. And I'm glad that Andrew and I had an opportunity to really talk and meet and discuss how the Urban League, the National Urban League, is moving forward with trying to get jobs back on the agenda and keep it on the agenda of federal congressional members. The National Urban League believes that every willing adult in America should have a job that allows them to earn a decent wage and provide a reasonable standard of living for themselves and their families. Every adult in America should have equal access to the resources that enhance employability and job mobility, including post-secondary education and other investments in human capital. There is a urban jobs bill that was introduced by representative from New York. Towns, I'm sorry. And, right, Dr. Towns. And the urban jobs bill is a proposal to reinvest money back into urban communities. Part of the bill is to reauthorize the Workforce Investment Act, which has been operating on a continuing resolution for more than 10 years. I believe we're in year 13 of this. And the introduction of this bill into the 112th Congress is important because part of what the National Urban League has sought support for is funding for of the model of urban youth employment program, having more than 90-something years in workforce development and training across the country. The National Urban League is looking to have the Workforce Investment Act provide dollars that will employ young people, provide mentoring, case management, nutrition referrals. Is this the one? And to make sure that employment and training infrastructure is being supported in urban areas where unemployment is highest, particularly amongst youth. And we're speaking mostly of youth ages 18 and 24. And so what the National Urban League is doing is mobilizing what we call an Urban League affiliate movement. In Virginia, there are 3 urban leagues. There is the Urban League of Greater Richmond, the Urban League of Hampton Roads, and the Northern Virginia Urban League. And we all have employment and housing and education and health programs. What's different about the Urban League of Greater Richmond and what we're doing to model ourselves closely to what our national office is doing is we've launched a campaign for education, and we're looking to launch a campaign for jobs to rebuild Richmond. In March of this year, the National Urban League released its annual State of Black America, Rebuilding Jobs, Rebuilding America. And what we're trying to do in Richmond is reach out to our other civil rights organizations like the NAACP, and we're definitely targeting clergy. And our campaign for Empowering Richmond, which includes education and jobs and health, to re-establish the relevancy of the civil rights movement using an old template with new tactics in Richmond is actually being pushed through the Young Professionals, which is an auxiliary organization of the Urban League of Young Professionals who are 21 to 40. And as that emerging demographic and as the president of the Richmond group, we are taking charge and getting ahead of the issues to make sure that jobs and education for young people and adults are put back on the radar of our leaders and hold them accountable for what we believe are the things that will help bring back sustainable communities. And so we have a call to action to get senators in Virginia, Senators Webb and Senators Warmer, to possibly look at co-sponsoring the Senate bill S-922, which is the Urban Jobs Act. While we're here, we definitely want to make sure that we say thank you to Congressman Conyers for co-sponsoring the House version of the Urban Jobs Act. We really appreciate your support in that. And so as we move forward, we will be sending letters and engaging Warner and Webb, and definitely Congressman Scott has not yet signed on a co-sponsor bill, but we're definitely in conversation and in meetings with them to take a look at bringing back dollars that can be put back into urban communities, particularly in Virginia and in the city of Richmond, where we have high rates of crime and other issues that affect out-of-school youth and young adults, where jobs are going to be most important, and including the restoration of rights, because we're seeing that collateral damage, and we really want to be able to do something about it.
Thank you very much.
This is one of the things we have to face up to. Obama's been in a couple of years, and he's inherited, he came in on the beginning of a serious economic downturn. In Detroit, we call it a depression, when you got 31% of the people unemployed. So it is true that after Obama was elected, people sat on their haunches, and we lost control of the House of Representatives, and a lot of conservative governors were elected across the country. So that's why we're not getting anywhere. And now, some of the same people in office that went along with what got us into a deficit are now talking about deficits as if they weren't responsible and that Obama's predecessor wasn't responsible for the deficit. So the fact you were talking about in 1978 We've been talking about it since the Depression. And we had, if you talk with the economists, and that's why I brought my legislative director up here to sneak in every now and then, we have serious recessions, that is minor depressions, continually. We've had 7 or 8 of them in the last 15, 20 years. And they keep coming. My theory is that they keep coming because we have a capitalist system that concentrates on profits, not on people, on products, not on full employment. And that's what this town hall meeting is so important to me, because we're talking about jobs, health care, and a people's budget, and all 3 of them tie into each other rather neatly to me.